So welcome to the new Little Love tutorial. So for this tutorial, I'll discuss how we do the dotty style Little Love, which is the first tutorial I did for it. But I also wanted to add in the petal style Little Love so that you've got the two options to do. So if you're doing this with children, they'll find it much easier to do the dotty style. But if they want to give it a go with the petals, it's really not that difficult. And because of the busy nature of this painting, they don't need to be perfect. It all kind of, once it's got really busy and really full, any imperfection bits you really don't notice. You're just building it all up into your shape. So you can either keep all of your paintwork into the shape that I've given you on your starting canvas, or you can scatter some dots and some petals on the outside if you want to. Totally up to you. The paints that are in your kit are hand mixed paints by me. They're like, I call them a drippy paint. So they're kind of a bit of a mixture between a pouring paint and a normal paint. So they've got that kind of drippy texture. You've also got a bit of glitter in your pack as well. And with these new Little Love kits, you get the paintbrush to do your petals and the dotty dabber to do your dots. Your canvas, you will have a little pack of the background colour, just in case you make mistakes and you need to touch up your background. But you can, if you make mistakes on these canvases, use a clean, fresh baby wipe and wipe it off. As long as it's only just gone down, the paint's just gone down, it won't have time to dry. So you can clean up mistakes with a baby wipe. You will need a baby wipe as well, because in between your colours, you can just use that to twizzle your brush or your dotty dabber on to clean and then get ready for your new colour. Because the paints are a runny paint, I don't use water on the brushes. So you obviously, once you finish your painting completely, wash your brush off. But while we're doing it, we don't want a wet paintbrush because it will make our paint too runny. So to do your dots, it's really, really simple. So use the larger end of your dotty dabber. And your paints will need a stir, but because they're very little pots, if you give it a stir, you end up wasting quite a lot of paint on your dotty dabber that you've stirred it with. So you can normally get away with giving them a really good shake and that will mix them enough. But if they've been sat for a while, sometimes that pouring medium starts to separate a little bit. So they do need a mix. So to do your dots, you're dipping it in and you're literally just scattering your dots around evenly. And it takes a little while to get it built up with all your different colours, but it's super simple, super relaxing. And if you want bigger dots, you just get a bit more paint on, and if you just touch it down for a few seconds, it will trickle down. Little dots, you can just do quick ones and you'll get littler ones doing that. If you want really tiny dots, you can use the smaller end of your dotty dabber, but it might take you a long time to do it with very tiny dots. So I like to use the bigger end. So I'll give that a little whiz on my baby wipe. So to get the petal effect, we use our dry brush, dip it into our paint. We very lightly touch down to get a petal shape, and then touch down each petal a new dip, because you want that paint to be like a puddle so that it dries solid. We don't want wishy-washy. And it's very much about your angle. You don't want your petals to touch. You want to keep space between them. You can do sets 2, 3s, 4s, 5s. They don't all need to be full flowers. Do a full one here to show you. So you see how I'm keeping them separate from each other, like that. And we start to build our painting up with a mixture of dots and flowers. If the kids are doing it though, they might just want to do the dots, totally up to you. I shall do a time lapse so you can see it all coming together and show you at the end once it's nearly there, okay? Okay, I've got to the point where I'm happy with my painting. I've filled with the petals and put some centres in my petals. I put some dots in between. the flowers, and I'm happy with that. And I've stuck to just a few colours because I think that works really nicely with this background. But you've got the choice of 10 colours, so use whichever you feel you want to. The paint's wet now, so you can put some glitter dust on if you want to. You just pinch and sprinkle that over the top. If you've done the dotty version, you can kind of get it to the point where it's nice and full, and you could let it dry and then add some more. Totally up to you how you go about it. And if you want to frame your board, really easy to frame, you need a 12 by 12 inch frame, just normal picture frame will do. And if you've enjoyed this workshop, I do one called Blooming Lovely. I do that as a studio workshop and as a workshop from home kit, and it's the same concept. So you're doing your petals or your dots and you fill it all in, but your tree is already printed for you. So again, easy peasy, it's just a larger scale project really. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed your workshop.